Billionaire notices a lonely waitress crying beside his wife's grave. What follows next quietly transforms everything. What if grieving someone you loved pulled you toward an unexpected bond, a gentle second chance, and a love you never imagined? Jake Montgomery was a name that carried weight. At 45, he had shaped a financial empire, a billionaire whose face appeared across magazines like Fortune and Forbes. His penthouse overlooked Manhattan's skyline, his private jet stayed ready, and his name opened doors most people only dreamed about. But none of it mattered anymore, not after Emily. 3 years earlier, Emily Montgomery, his wife, his partner, his whole world, had been taken by a sudden heart attack. One moment she was laughing at his awful pancakes, and the next she was gone. The paramedics, the cold hospital rooms, the antiseptic smell. They blended into a nightmare he never escaped. Jake had built an empire, but he couldn't rescue her, and that failure haunted him. He shut everyone out. No more gala events, no family calls, no old friends. His company ran on autopilot while he drowned quietly in grief. His life narrowed to one ritual. Every Saturday, he drove to Willow Creek Cemetery to visit Emily's grave. He would stand there, tracing her name, whispering apologies for things he could never fix. This Saturday seemed no different until he heard a soft sob carried by the rain-filled wind. Jake looked up. The cemetery was usually empty, but beneath an old oak tree sat a young woman whose dark hair clung to her face. A single daisy drooped in her hand. Something about her sadness mirrored his own, pulling him toward her. As she pressed her forehead to a headstone, Jake slowly approached. "Excuse me," he said quietly. "Are you all right?" The woman flinched and looked up, her brown eyes red and wide. She couldn't have been more than 25, wearing a faded blue coat and worn sneakers. A diner name tag read Lily. "I'm okay," she whispered, wiping her tears. Jake glanced at the headstone. Margaret Ann Dawson, beloved mother, 1965 to 2024. Too young. "I'm really sorry," he said gently. "I didn't mean to intrude, I just understand." "You lost someone too?" Lily asked carefully. "My wife," Jake admitted. 3 years ago. I come here every week." Lily's expression softened. "I'm here for my mum. She passed from cancer a few months ago." Without speaking further, Jake gestured to the ground beside her. "Mind if I sit?" She hesitated, then nodded. The rain tapped steadily as they sat in silence, bound by grief neither knew how to name. When Lily finally stood to leave, Jake felt an unexpected pull. "Will you be here next week?" he asked before he could stop himself. "Maybe," she said, disappearing through the mist. Jake couldn't stop thinking about her, her honesty, her quiet strength. On Monday, he found himself driving to the diner where she worked, a retro place called Sunny's. Inside, Lily poured coffee for a trucker with a tired smile. She looked stronger here, though her eyes still held sadness. Jake took a booth. She approached and blinked in surprise. "You," she said softly. "Didn't expect you here." "Needed a coffee," he replied, though it wasn't true. Over the next hour, they talked in small moments between customers. Lily told him about her life, growing up with her mom, working double shifts, caring for her 16-year-old brother Ethan, who was fighting leukemia. Her voice cracked when she mentioned him, and Jake felt a familiar ache. Jake shared pieces of his own story, not his wealth, but his memories of Emily, their college days, their jokes, his regrets. Lily listened with full attention, something he hadn't felt in years. He left the diner feeling strangely lighter. Weeks passed, and Jake and Lily built a quiet ritual. Every Saturday, they met at the cemetery, sharing stories about the people they loved. Jake talked about Emily's passion for painting. Lily described her mum's baking and how the scent of cookies still hurt. Their conversations grew deeper, each confession removing a brick from the walls around their hearts. One day, Lily asked, "Do you think the pain ever stops?" Jake looked at Emily's headstone and said, "I don't think it disappears, but it becomes easier to carry." Lily nodded, her eyes shining. "I want to believe that." Their bond wasn't romantic yet, just something honest and pure. Jake began visiting the diner more, drawn to Lily's presence. He admired her strength, her compassion, her resilience. Then autumn arrived. One Saturday, Lily sat beneath the oak tree, pale and trembling, clutching a letter. "Ethan's getting worse," she whispered. "Doctors don't think he'll make it to Christmas." Jake felt his chest tighten. "I'm so sorry, Lily," she cried, blaming herself for not being stronger during her mother's illness. Jake felt his own guilt reflected in her words. "Don't let your mistakes define you," he told her gently. "You loved them. That matters." In that moment, he made a decision. He had the resources to help. He created the Emily Montgomery Foundation, pouring millions into supporting families facing terminal illness. When he told Lily, she froze in shock. "You did this for Emily?" "For her," Jake said, "and for people like you and Ethan." Tears filled her eyes as she smiled. Really smiled. "You're a good man, Jake." Inspired, Lily started a grief support group called Healing Hearts. Jake attended, listening to raw stories that helped him breathe again. Their lives slowly intertwined, not just through loss, but through purpose. Months passed, Ethan worsened, and Lily spent every spare moment at the hospital. Jake funded treatments and called specialists. But he knew money had limits. Then everything changed. One day, Lily burst into the diner, glowing with hope. "Ethan's tests are clear," she cried. "His cancer is in remission." Jake stared, stunned. "That's amazing. I swear your support helped us get here," she insisted. She hugged him tightly, and for the first time, Jake felt his grief loosen. That night, in the parking lot, Lily said, "I'm thinking about going back to school for social work, but I'm scared it's too late." "It's never too late," Jake said, taking her hand. "You've already changed my life." A year later, Jake stood at Emily's grave one final time. The autumn sunlight warmed the stone as he whispered, "Thank you for loving me. I'll always carry you, but I'm finally ready to move forward." He turned to see Lily waiting by the oak tree, her hair catching the light. She was in college now, her support group thriving, Ethan healthy again. Jake was no longer hollow. He walked to her, offered his hand, and she took it. Together they stepped away from the past and toward a future built from pain, love, and second chances. As the sun dipped over Willow Creek Cemetery, Jake felt a quiet truth settle inside him. He and Lily weren't just healing anymore, they had found home.